Hello! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and today I am filming this in advance. It is currently March, but what you will be watching is my April TBR. The reason I'm recording this early is because I have anxiety and I like to plan my TBRs a month in advance. So here's my April TBR. This month I will be doing the Magical Readathon, which is hosted by Book Roast, and it's Hogwarts themed, and this month we are doing our owls. And because I am a reacher and want to do all 12 prompts because I want to be a Hogwarts professor, I need to plan this out. So I will be picking my TBR picks right now. Then later on I will explain which prompts they will go to for the Magical Readathon. So this is just a clip picking out my reads so that you know I am not a cheater to my own challenge. So these are my non-fiction, I believe. I'm pretty sure. So my first pick for non-fiction is Eating Animals. This is Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. This is about a man who grew up eating animals and then had trouble explaining to his own son why we choose to eat some animals and choose not to eat others. And so this is kind of a book where it goes and explains the reasons as for why we do these things. So it's part memoir, part investigative report on the reasons why we live a kind of omnivore lifestyle and perhaps why we should go a more vegan or plant-based diet. And I'm really excited. I have started to eat way more plant-based than I did before. Partly it is because of works like this, and I'm very excited to get into this because I do want to explore this idea of eating plant-based, why we eat animals, stuff like that. I don't know which challenge this will go for. Future Kelsey will let you know. And then my fiction book. My fiction book for this month is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. If you watched my 24 books I need to read this year, I purposely put this one in because my boyfriend has been really wanting to watch The Godfather with him, and I told him I can't watch it before I read the book. So here it is. This is your classic story about Italian mafia. It follows the family of the Corleones. It's about the seduction of power and the pitfall of greed. So I am actually very excited to get into this. I have been wanting to read it. Again, don't know what challenge this will go for, but you will know in what will be a month for me, but a couple of minutes for you. So these are my TBR jar picks for April, and now it's on to Future Kelsey. Hello! As you saw in the last clip, today I'm here to do my Owls TBR. I created a TBR that goes along with the readathon, and I will now explain how each of these books goes along with each of the prompts. Each prompt in the Owls readathon goes along with one Hogwarts class. For the career that you choose, you need to pick the owls that correspond. I want to be a Hogwarts professor, but like the Hermione bitch I am, I'm going to do all 12 of the prompts no matter what. So that way at the end, if I want to switch it up during my notes, I can. So if you see me looking down at my computer, it's just so I can tell you which book goes for which prompt. So the first class we have here is Ancient Ruins, and that's a retelling. I decided to go with The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. From what I understand, this is a retelling of the Helen of Troy battle, or the battle with Helen of Troy, or the Troy battle. All I know is that it's a retelling of Achilles, and there is a gay story in here, and that's all you need to tell me. That's all I care about, frankly. So I can't wait to pick this up. I'm really excited for this retelling, actually. For the class of arithmancy, we need to read a book written by more than one author. I have My Plain Jane by 3 authors: Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is a retelling, so it would also work for the retelling prompt, but it's a retelling of Jane Eyre with ghosts. And that's all I know. I read My Lady Jane by these 3 authors as well on audiobook. I loved it. It was so humorous, so silly. It really put a smile on my face, and I like them as a trio. I think their writing blends perfectly together. Like, I'm not reading a story and wondering where each author wrote. I think it's actually really fantastic the way that they weaved all their writing together, and I'm really excited to read this because I actually read Jane Eyre, and so I'm excited to see where things come in with this. The next class is astronomy, and the prompt is to read a book that has the word star in the title. So for this, because I am participating in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone read along, the second book is Days of Blood and Starlight. So this will be the book that I am reading reading this month. If you watched my March wrap-up, you'll know that I wasn't a humongous fan of Daughter in Smoke and Bone, but I see the potential. So this follows a girl named Karu, and she lives in Prague, but she kind of transcends dimensions because she runs errands for this chimera. He comes from this world called Elsewhere, and she's kind of thrust into it due to her past that is mysteriously revealed over the course of the novel. So this is the second one. I'm excited to see how the events that ended the first novel will continue in this. Laini Taylor definitely has me hooked with the ending, so I'm excited to continue. The next class is Care of Magical Creatures, and the prompt is to read a book that has a land animal on the cover. And for this, I will be reading Johnny Appleseed by Joshua Whitehead. This is a story that follows a boy named Johnny who is a Native American during the time of the rise of Grindr and the rise of Snapchat, and how he transcends this kind of coming of age story on a native reserve, but also coming out as gay. This is really interesting. It is written by a two-spirit author, so I'm highly anticipating that I'm gonna love it. So far, my friends that have read it have loved it. That one will be read very soon. The next class is Charms, and the charm that we will be using is Age Line, read an adult book. So for this, I will be reading 1004 by Benton Lerner. This novel is an auto-fiction novel, and auto-fictionalized novels are when the main character in the novel tends to be the same name as the author, so the blending of fiction and reality is kind of thinned, and you don't really know what is real, what has actually happened to the author, and what is just happening to the character. So this story follows a man named Ben. He is a poet, he lives in New York, much like Lerner himself, and he is kind of navigating life. Some weird things are happening. He's dealing with hurricanes. His best friend wants to take his sperm so she could create a baby. A bunch of weird, interesting things, and I'm excited to see where I stand on this novel. I'm in the middle of it right now. The next class is Defense Against the Dark Arts, and the spell for this class is Reducto. Read a book that starts with the letter R. For this, I will be reading The Refrigerator Monologues by Catherine M. Valente. I'm really excited for this. The minute I heard about the refrigerator trope, I had heard about this book. I'm really excited to read it because I'm interested to see how Catherine M. Valente weaves and explains the refrigerator trope. And basically, if you're not aware, the trope of the refrigerator is where a woman is often killed, shoved in the refrigerator in past comics, and this is only works to further the male superheroes trope. He gets validation, he gets encouragement from this loss to go and become the man that he is meant to be. And women, in many of pop media culture, anything really, you see that women are often brutalized, raped, abused, just to further the plot of a male figure, and this is not uncommon. From what I understand, this is a book that follows 6 female superheroes and the girlfriends of these superheroes, so I'm really excited to see how Catherine M. Valente reverts this trope, and it sounds really interesting. The next class is Divination, read a book set in the future. For this, I am reading the Shannara Chronicles. If you know anything about this book, you know that it is high fantasy, but it is set in our future. The Land of the Four Lands is set after a devastating war between the humans and the destruction of the earth, and once the earth has been destroyed, the fantastical creatures that we thought didn't exist resurface. And so it's about elves, humans are still in this, wizards, that kind of thing. I watched the Shannara Chronicles show that came out in 2015 about, and I was obsessed with it. And then I read The Sword of Shannara, which if you watched my worst books of 2018, you'll see that it's on it. I hated The Sword of Shannara. I was so disappointed because I love the show so much. This one, as you can see from my TV tie-in edition, it follows the son, Will Ohmsford, which is the one that I loved, and Eretria. As you can see, I've already met her in the book. I am enjoying it far more than I like The Sword of Shannara because it follows the show, and I might do a discussion on which one I like more after I finish doing this. So if you would like that, please let me know, because if anybody likes the Shannara Chronicles, I would love to know. Talk to me. I feel like I'm the only one who's watched it. So please talk to me. I want to talk about it. I'll make a video all about it if you'll watch it. So in addition to the Shannara Chronicles, if I have time, I would love to read The Martian by Andy Weir. This one, because he goes to Mars, I know it's set in the future because we haven't been to Mars yet. So this one, I never saw the movie and I never read the book, so I really do not know what this is about besides potatoes. I don't know what relevance potatoes have, but all I know is that this is about a man stuck on Mars because when a sandstorm hits, the rest of his crew leaves thinking him for dead, and he's actually alive. So I'm very interested in it. If I have time, I would love to read this this. This would also go. The next class is herbology. This is to read a book with a plant on the cover, and this is where, as you saw with my TBR jar picks in the previous clip, Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foyer comes in because there are leaves and branches on the cover. As you saw in the first clip, this is about a man and his journey towards veganism and a discussion on why we eat animals, what they are doing to us. I'm very excited to read this. I am very interested in veganism. This seems like a very interesting nonfiction. Also, because I have just no control over myself, I also have another book that I would like to read that has a plant on the cover, which is The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. This is her first fantasy novel that she had written years ago that is now republished with this beautiful cover. Like, look at this. Oh my goodness. So if you've been following my channel at all, you'll know that V.E. Schwab is my favorite author. I love her so much and I want to read everything she's ever written. This is a part of it. This is about a town called Near where a new boy comes to town. Everybody's kind of like sketchy about him, but like all small towns are like that. But then children start disappearing from their beds at night, and people are wondering if it is because this new boy has come to town. I am really intrigued by this, and I'm going in it with not high expectations because I know this was one of her first novels, but I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully I could get this read this month, but it's not like a super high priority. The next class is History of Magic, and this is to read a book that was published more than 10 years ago. For this prompt, I have, also from the previous clip, The Godfather by Mario Puzo. Puzo is writing about a legacy of power and what it means to grow up in a kind of organized crime family. So I'm very excited to read this, and my boyfriend is very excited for me to read this so that we could watch The Godfather together. The next class is Muggle Studies, and this is to read a contemporary novel. For this prompt, I have I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This is a story that's kind of a tribute to fandom. It follows a young girl who's obsessed with this boy band and one of the members of this boy band. And I'm really excited to read this because the Jonas Brothers just reunited. I think it's the perfect time for me to read this because suddenly I am a Joe Bro stan again. And I haven't been in so long. I miss them. I am obsessed with them. I am listening to the Jonas Brothers all the time, so I just feel like this is the perfect time to read this novel. And Alice Oseman always discusses LGBT themes in her novels. She always discusses like coming of age stories, so I'm very excited to see how she blends all of that together in this little novel. And this cover is so pretty and I love it. The next class is Potions, and the prompt is Next Ingredient, read a sequel. And for this, I need to read A Clash of Kings. I started it last month, didn't get to finish it, so I really would like to continue. A Clash of Kings basically follows what happens at the end of the events in A Game of Thrones. If you haven't watched it, like, I don't know what to say because everything I say is a spoiler. Basically, something happens in there and now there's 4 kings and everybody's fighting for the throne. So that's it, that's all. And the last class is Transfiguration. Read a book that has red on the cover or sprayed edges. For this, I'm going with Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. This is a book I read so many times in my youth. As you can see, this spine is broken, the pages are yellowed. I was obsessed with this book, and I really have been loving this train where I'm rereading kind of books that I've loved in my past. Inkheart is definitely one of them. From what I can remember, this is a story about a young girl whose father is capable of pulling and putting characters into and out of books, and one night Maggie realizes that she can do the same. So I'm really excited to read this because I don't really remember anything. I just remember loving all 3 of the books in this trilogy. So I hope you enjoyed this TBR. I'm sorry that it comes so late. Hopefully I don't hate this. So if you have read, let me see if I could carry. If you have read any of these novels, please let me know down below what you thought about them. Have you read Inkheart? Is this a childhood favorite? Let me know. Have you read the Shannara Chronicles? Are you obsessed with Eretria? Please let me know. Fight with me in the comments. I love to debate. Like and subscribe. I don't know how to end a video properly. Leia, say bye. Leia. She's like, what the fuck, bitch? I know, I'm so mean. I don't know how to end these videos, so bye. I'll see you next time.